Guys, so I'm gonna be showing you guys how I work on comics. First, I start off by reading the script. Um, my buddy Jesse Marcial wrote the script. It's a wrestling comic. He has it timed out pretty well. You know, he has pages set up, so I don't have to divide up pages. Sometimes a writer might just give you, I don't know. It's all different. There really are no rules on how you guys collaborate. So yeah, the way he wrote it, he wrote one page at a time. Sometimes he would have a descriptor for each panel. Sometimes he would just be like, "This is what happens on this page. You divide it up accordingly, whatever you think works better." Um, so yeah, this is the first panel of the comic. I really had trouble getting started on this comic because I hadn't made a comic in a while, and I was like, "Do I even remember how to do this? How am I gonna even approach it? Like, what's the style gonna be?" I guess I'll just jump in and figure it out as I go along. So, yeah, originally the first panel was supposed to be a lot bigger. And so now I'm just drawing a bunch of panels and I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to do a few panels, kind of get used to the style, get used to the idea of what this comic might look like. And just kind of do it organically, don't even think about it. So, you know, I drew a bunch of little panels. I'm just going to be like, alright, well, I'm going to use these to set up like little vignettes. I don't know if that's the right word, but interlaced cuts, I would say. You know, just little pictures of what the city might look like. Early morning. The city of Los Corridos is kind of like what this issue is setting up. We're introducing you to the city, so I'm adding graffiti. You know, our character has just suffered a loss from the last issue, and I decided to add a previously page. We didn't have that before. I told my friend, and he was like, "Fuck yeah!" I mean, sorry for cursing, but yeah, he was like, "Yeah, good idea." You know, when you're collaborating, sometimes you're like, "I don't like that idea." Collaboration is a tricky process. So now I'm working on the spread. This is after finishing that first page, I had a little bit more confidence in my comic book making ability again. I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember how to do this." Now I get to do a spread. This is easy. So like the first one was a bunch of little panels, and like now I get to do one big, beautiful picture. And yeah, this is what I'm working on. But anyways, I was talking about collaboration. When you're collaborating, you know, you're blending tastes. You have to discuss things. You know, he'll hit me up like, "What do you think about this?" I'll be like, "Okay, I like that," or "I don't know, that seems a little, you know, whatever that my opinion is on it." Or I pitch him something, and he'll be like, "I don't know, you have to sell me on that." Um, and sometimes an idea is just kind of bad ideas die, you know, good ideas survive. So that's a good. Sometimes we both just are just like, "Oh, that's a great idea. Let's do it." It's just you don't have to sell me. Um, like right here, I'm really trying to work on shadows, trying to use my shadows more. It is comics. Comics or dark and light, but I want to focus on color just because I have an iPad. You know, we're living in the digital age. You know, back then they had to use blacks because lots of hard contrast because of printing. You know, but I still do outlines. It just kind of ties the whole piece together. Um, yeah, so normally I start off as you saw with just the background color. I'm using a blue. That's kind of my dominant color in these first few pages, the palette. And then I do a more complicated. Sorry, one layer at a time. I work in layers. You know, Procreate is my program on my iPad. But yeah, I'll show you guys on the next page a little bit more of the process. I was talking more about, I guess, the creative process, and now I'm going to talk to you guys about my actual drawing and inking practice. You can see now I end with lines, which is kind of weird. I think most people start with line work, and sometimes I'll start with line work, I guess. But you know, like I said, I work organically. But then my line work eventually becomes so sketchy that I'm like, okay, I can't even use this line work. So first I do that pink, just something really rough. It's more of a layout for the panels rather than it is a compositional thing. It's a slight compositional thing, you know. Sometimes I will find the composition in those early sketches, is what I mean. but sometimes it's more to know, okay, this is what happens to this panel, this is what happens to this panel. And then I do a more like developed actual sketch, like this black one. And then I'll come in, lay out, do my backgrounds, if it's necessary, or it's in the description. If I'm focusing on dialogue and acting on a scene, I won't even put a background, save some time. But this is introducing a character, showing you kind of his domicile, so I had to draw a background for this one. And I think my homie Jesse had written that you see his background, and I try to, do what the writer asks. Try to represent their vision as best as I possibly can. So yeah, then once I do that, like, see, this character doesn't even have a background. I might do like a quick monotone background, and then I do base colors. I start erasing. Erasing the sketches as I go along. Then I add my values, mainly to the skin tone. That's a style that I'm doing now. Like, only skin tones really get values, as far as light values and shadows. But they do get shadows. And then again, I'm doing the color pass, add the details, add the shadows. Make it look a little painterly. Then I add the line work on top of that, like I'm doing here. I add shadows under that, and now I'm starting another page. But yeah, this is pretty much my process. Flat color. Now I'm using some pages from the last comic, from the first issue, which was quite a while ago. We've kind of took a break, me and my buddy, for a little bit. So, but now we're back, and we've both gotten better at our craft. So those are some pages from the last issue, and this is where he's kind of reliving the trauma from his first loss. And but yeah, then after that, after I have a few pages done, I come and add, sometimes I'll add that one page at a time, because I love the panels. If the panels are part of the story, then I'll come in and add the type. And my buddy decided to change the title, so I was like, all right, we'll do a new title card. And yeah, these are pretty much the end of it. Just adding all the type. And yeah, that's all I have to show you guys today. Thanks for watching.